Yo.
Hawks of America, target lock Earth number 10. Geomancy and you. Oh, wait, no. Geo-Engineering.
Yeah,
That's why I've got my guy on.
it's about the same thing.
And the riots of the apocalypse.
Yes.
Yes. Let's do it. 1 hour. Ready, get set,
Go.
go. Duck, duck, goose. You're on.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
I actually preferred that one scene where the rider was like going toward the castle and it was always like dun 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 dun. And it always showed him like the music was getting louder and louder and louder, and yet he was like still in the same distance, not getting any closer. And then all of a sudden it was like, crash! He's there! Fighting the castle. But yes, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Hopefully those fuckers don't come back. But
well, you know,
they,
they have
they
new
might.
minions these days, right? Which are the
They
social
do.
justice warriors.
They do have those minions. So we're going to keep this one brief tonight, just for our audience of zero.
Right.
Counting down 58 minutes. We got to do it quick because of various time constraints on this show.
Right. Right.
Well, I've got a little bit of daylight left.
Yep.
I'm gonna try to do it. You've got the light side of Ashton V and the dark side. So I guess we'll all be good to go.
Yeah. Well, you've got light, and you've probably got the warmth, and we've got winter out here, so we got a little taste of winter again. It's been
You got some
snowing
more
off and
winter.
on. Yeah, snowing
No,
off and on.
we got a cold snap. It dropped down to like 54 during the day. We got some rain. So yeah, there's a weather pattern definitely flowing through. If you guys got winter, we definitely got a chill here.
I'm thinking it's geoengineering.
Are you? Well, please explain the theory because I'm not sold on it. So you do what you have to do, and I'll do what I have to do for this show.
Well, I don't know if I'm sold on it. I just, have a lot of time of observation of atmospheric. I got big skies around here, so there's lots of things I can see while I work. That's some of the best things about work. I can look, I can think. If I've got nobody that I have to deal with. Well, yeah, throughout a day I can observe many of those things. And so what we're talking about here is rapid text we've had throughout the last week, actually, but just about this whole notion or idea of we'll mix it up with geoengineering and some people are calling chemtrails, which they're kind of using them together. Maybe they're the same, maybe they're not. Geoengineering, of course, is manipulating the ecosystems and environment of the Earth, on purpose, for one benefit or another. And then I guess some people think that there is either there's something like that already going on, or accidentally going on up in the upper atmosphere, coming from aircraft that fly over all the time.
Right.
And so they think the visible remnants of whatever's coming out of the commercial aircraft and military aircraft, I'm sure both, but anyway, anything that's left visible for long periods of time that turns from a blue sky into a tic-tac-toe and into a very kind of what they describe as a milky white, hue in the atmosphere, light clouds. That's proof of something being done on purpose. So I can, certain numbers of days through the week, I can observe that and take pictures from the same spot with a big sky overlooking here, which is Grand Canyon and the surrounding region. And I've gotten plenty of photographs of that type of observable phenomena. Where you do see those patterns, and then you do see them persisting and spreading out, and at some points in the day they're turning into a thin layer of white milky clouds. So definitely observable. I don't think lay people like ourselves are going to know exactly what it is without getting a sample. But is it just leftovers from exhaust? Is it? I think one of the articles we came across and I shared with you recently was from the Smithsonian, which I forgot about. And that one was the title of that one. Airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. And they have one of
Right.
those photographs of one of those shots of the sky where there's obviously lots of air traffic and there are remnants lingering in the sky. So totally observable. What it
So,
is, without testing it, you don't know. But there's plenty of
yeah,
sites I was just looking at now, scientifically that get into explaining what it is and what remnant things, chemicals are left behind. And there's a link that didn't work that says aircraft emissions are regulated. So another thing we touched
they
on the power.
are.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, that was all the way back when the whole big lead scare came out, because as
Right.
we all know, lead is not good for organisms. For biological entities,
No.
lead is bad. It will fuck up, all kinds of nervous systems, and it's not good. So I guess let me just throw a couple of definitions out there right now, just to kind of like lay a groundwork for what we're ultimately talking about here. So chemtrails, CHEM trails, is a wordplay on contrail, basically, and contrails are the water in the atmosphere from the exhaust of jet airplanes and some propeller airplanes due to the heat that they put into the atmosphere. Contrails are the stripe of cloud that you see behind an airplane that's flying very high in the sky. Now, the controversy is that these chemtrails last longer than contrails, that they spread out over time. They don't exactly behave like the typical conception of a contrail behave, and that's where all the confusion comes into play. So, looking at a number of articles over the past week about this, because I've known people back in history that have been like really big into this chemtrail thing, and
I bet
like family members, people that live in Arizona.
Yeah.
Put it that way. No.
What are you
nobody
implying?
in Illinois, nobody in Illinois, Chicago, nobody in California are even like worried about this crap. It's like it's anyone who's like under the big sky. Texas included. Texas.
Yes.
But then again. And Texas has a bigger sky than Arizona, as you know. But
literally,
you can argue that with yourself as you go to sleep. Which one has the bigger sky? I don't know. Here's one sky, here's another. I don't know. But when I was last in Texas, I could stand at one point where I was at, turn 360 degrees, and see 16 water towers on the horizon.
Oh, yeah.
That's big. That's big fucking sky. That's not big sky. That's huge fucking sky. Water towers in every direction, and you can see them clear as day, miles away.
That must have something to do with it.
Anyway, but then again, the Texas sky moves really fast. Compared to like the western states. Technically Texas is west. But I'm talking like far west in the United States. Texas sky, I've seen weather patterns in Texas where you've got like 5 layers of fucking weather in the fucking sky happening. You've got clouds moving in opposite directions from each other. That's just fucking normal. So it dissipates like real quickly. You throw a contrail out there and it just like, it's gone. It barely lasts beyond the exhaust of the airplane, the exhaust zone of the airplane itself.
Right.
However, you put that same contrail in a very stable atmosphere, such as over Arizona or Colorado, maybe, where the dissipation takes longer because there's not that atmospheric contention going on, and it just will slowly do its thing. And it's dependent on weather, gravity, you know, the fuels that they're using these days, they have a heavier gravity in the molecular makeup of it than what it was years ago, because they're trying to condense the fuel
Right.
to, you know, be more powerful for the pound, for the gallon, you know,
Yeah.
more bang for your buck, you know, and so you get these heavier exhaust molecules coming out, and you get the lighter ones, so they all dissipate at like a different rate, and gravity influences it. That's why you see like the spirals coming down. You know, you have wind shear doing weird stuff. You know, I mean, it's crazy. And yes, I agree. It could be causing a, you know, inadvertent, accidental, you know, type of, you know, solar shielding over the planet, which basically means making clouds. You're making clouds, dude. You're making
right,
haze.
right. So,
You know?
so they're man-made clouds, you know, accidental, or as actually just an it's just a byproduct, you know, of the commercial air industry, and you know. So the difference between Texas and here, though, I would have to say though, is that Texas generally has much more humid air and atmosphere. There's always much more moisture in the air in that region, whereas up here, generally, it's very dry. You know, so you know, and I would assume that would have something to do with the actual formation of, you know, long-lasting contrails in the sky. Would be, you know, the actual content of moisture in the atmosphere. But again, you know,
Well,
what's a layman
if you
to
have
do?
if you have less humidity in the atmosphere, then whatever, you know, water you put into the atmosphere is going to get dissipated a lot more quickly, right? If you have more humidity in the atmosphere, it's not going to dissipate as quickly because it's almost already saturated. Okay, but you have a lot of other different factors going on, such as wind speed.
Mm-hmm.
You have different weather at. I mean, what your temperature is at the planetary surface is not what it is, you know, 34 miles above. It's a hell of a lot colder here. And air, water behave a hell of a lot different at 34 miles above the planetary surface than it does down at the, you know, at the ground level. So, I mean, you've got all these things that you really can't, you know, take into account. Yes, it's strange. Yes, you see crisscross patterns in the sky. You know, I mean, it's bizarre, and there's more plane traffic out there now by FAA airplane track stuff, plus military, plus all kinds of other stuff going on. And it's just like, they show pictures from like the 1950s and they're like, oh, look at that beautiful clear sky and look at that contrail disappearing, you know, like just behind the airplane, and you know, all this, you know, wonderful, you know, sepia-laden pictures of, you know, LA, you know, beautiful fucking world. And then they're like today, it's like, look at how light blue that sky is. It's not dark anymore, you know, and it's the haze. Well, you know what? Go back and look at Phoenix in fucking 1950, and you look at the fucking sky there, and you look at it today with the fucking yellow smog dome over it. It's a fucking smog dome. You come off the fucking rim into the fucking Phoenix Valley. Yeah. There is a visible fucking black fucking dome with yellow, piss yellow underneath it.
It's,
you know,
stuck
I mean,
there.
It's like when I go into LA, which I don't try to do, but if I do, it's the same freaking effect. You come out off of the Angeles fucking mountains, and you descend into the fucking LA Valley, and fucking it's that same fucking brown fucking dome above piss yellow fucking smog. You know, and it gives me a fucking headache, man. I mean, I go into Phoenix and I gotta fucking breathe the air for like 2 or 3 days. I got a fucking headache. You know, same thing for fucking LA. It's just fucking pollution, man. You know, and yeah, that is inadvertent geoengineering right there. You know, these areas were not meant to have, well, not meant, they're not accustomed to having so much water in the atmosphere at such a low level. I mean, that's pollution, right? You pump exhaust, you pump, you know, carbon dioxide out of your fucking cars day in, day out, you know, and you have a lot of moisture in the air because of all the lawns you're watering. Everything is just like held down. That's like what the Phoenix smog dome is right now. It's everybody fucking watering their grass, and it's holding the pollution that is coming from the cars they drive on the fucking whatever their great freeways are now, the 104 or whatever the hell it is, the great big 16-lane monster, you know, day in, day out, where it takes you, 2 hours to get from fucking Mesa to downtown Phoenix, so you can fucking run from your car in your suit and tie from one air-conditioned bubble to another.
Right.
And it's like you're not cooking with dry heat anymore. You're cooking with wet heat.
Right.
I mean, it's like, anyway, it is inadvertent,
Geo-engineering. So to get back to that, and especially,
but the point is there a plan? Is somebody actually, is Lex Luthor behind the scenes going, I will, make the atmosphere more humid so that it holds more pollution?
I think the question here is, in context with the accidental aspect of it, is what they're saying is that in contrast to the more recent past when we had more pollution that was basically kind of cooling things off because you had more particulate matter in the atmosphere, that the contrails are leaving small ice particles. So is that warming things up, or is it just filtering out certain UV rays?
That's another huge scientific question, because we're in unknown territory right now. Nobody can really say, yes, climate change is real. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys, for taking away global warming, years ago. You're not calling it global warming anymore. You're calling it climate change.
Which is natural.
Climate change has been going on ever since the Earth has had an atmosphere.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, forests grow, forests die, dinosaurs come, dinosaurs go. Men and women come, they create their machines, they pump pollution in the atmosphere. It's all climate change. Nobody really fucking knows. What the hell is going on? It's like Venus. They always point to like the planet Venus, and they're like, "Oh, look, global warming. Look at what happened to their atmosphere." And it's like, or look what happened to Mars.
Right.
And it's like, well, you don't know what the fuck really happened there. Yes, you got an existence of a planet that has a very heavy atmosphere, and one that has barely any. But then again, it's like, there is so much nature on Earth that it compensates, because trees hold carbon dioxide, the oceans absorb carbon dioxide, which is the atmosphere killer. You get too much carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and you've basically got, greenhouse effect running wild, which is a killer in that way, because of course we're oxygen breathers, and you have a overdose of carbon dioxide, you're pretty much dead. But the thing of it is that there's all these compensatory, systems, and it's a big question whether, like, let's say, yes, all these airplanes flying in the sky are creating a haze. They're creating a human-made cloud layer. Well, on the one hand, it's keeping, heat and moisture near the planetary surface. On another hand, it's reflecting sunlight coming into our atmosphere, which is going to negate the effect of the warming.
Right.
It's like being in a regulated greenhouse. Right. And the one factor that nobody really knows is because there's such massive life, biological entities on this planet, not just humans, but just all life across the board, is that stuff adjusts to what the fuck is going on, all the way down to like the bacterial levels. Who knows? Maybe the red tides in the fucking seas that we see now more frequently, maybe they're eating up all kinds of carbon dioxide. Maybe there's really a purpose for them to be there, and they're just doing their thing, right? It's like, hey, the atmosphere is all fucked up. Let's have a fucking huge spawn of fucking red tide, suck that shit up. I mean, it's a complete, living, breathing fucking system You know, I don't think that. I mean, my personal opinion, I don't think humans have the wisdom or the scientific knowledge or the wisdom based on scientific knowledge to actually figure out what the fuck is going on.
Well, I think
Now,
the thing is that they do have the
that's
capacity to play with it. However,
oh,
that's the
absolutely.
thing.
Now this is where we come into my notes. My notes. Look, I got a whole page of notes, and
Whoa.
we're at 20 minutes in. So anyway, I did some actual scientific spelunking on this subject, and the best site that I found was actually from Oxford University over in the UK by our friends, and it does not feel like it has been taken to the penalty box as yet for heretical scientific dispersal of information. So maybe the SJWs did not get to them yet. They will not be arrested for being climate deniers yet.
Yeah.
Climate change deniers. Boy, that's a whole different topic right there. But tonight we're being scientific. We're not getting into politics. Although, while we're not being scientific, I should say that Mercury went retrograde today.
Oh, so I understand.
Now, for the friendly viewer, this usually means bad portents for all kinds of humans across the globe because it is the apparent backward motion of the planet Mercury in the night sky. This has been the harbinger of wars, of relationship breakups, of all kinds of bad things, even to do with network outages in the cyber age that we live in these days. Is it real? Is it not? We don't know. But Mercury went retrograde today, and it will stay that way for 3 weeks. So anyway, with that, Oxford University, they put Geo-Engineering, which is the scientific, it is the scientific application of geoengineering. Okay, they have two forms of it. They have SRM, which is the solar radiation management part, and they have CDR, which is the carbon dioxide removal. So, in the sense of SRM, I don't think we can call it CERM. I don't think we can go CDR. Those might be good. Those might be good names for like science fiction characters in some book. And then Sidar CERN, launched his rocket. But so under the solar radiation management, you have albedo enhancement, space reflectors, and stratospheric aerosols. Aerosols. So anyway, let's spend a lot of time on the stratospheric aerosols. That just sounds really interesting. But anyway, the albedo enhancement is putting larger particles into the atmosphere to reflect more sunlight off. Right. But they don't see the two-way street of that. That it's just reflecting outward. It doesn't hold anything in. So I think that this one was what the Matrix played off of when, but we knew it was us who scorched the sky. Right. That whole bullshit line. And then you have space reflectors, which, of course, any advanced civilization is going to have. They're going to have, 1,000-kilometer mirrors in the sky, maybe a partial or a full Dyson sphere, across one side of the planet to reflect the sunlight or to capture it in some solar, energetic way. And then you have, of course, the stratospheric aerosols, which is basically spraying larger particles into the atmosphere to, accomplish a reversal of the global warming that, you perceive as taking place.
So
And I think
chemtrails, that's what you're talking about, chemtrails.
and that's where the chemtrails come in. It's the
Right.
stratospheric aerosols. I mean, stratospheric aerosols, that sounds bad. But, Freon, destroying the ozone back in the 80s. They cut that fucking shit out, right? If they wanted to fucking do away with, making a hell on Earth, they would have just let the fucking Freon fucking make everybody chilly and cold and blow up the fucking ozone layer, which is very important. The ozone layer is very important to the maintenance of the climate, and you don't hear about the ozone hole anymore.
No, I think they just don't talk about it.
I mean, but that's a whole nother, the ozone hole back in the 80s. Look up the research from back then. The ozone hole. I mean, that's how it looks from like satellites, but it's not really like doing anything. It's not like there's like shit leaking out from the atmosphere through the ozone hole. That's how the media makes it sound.
Right.
It's just like, well, in this particular area of the Earth, there's just like less ozone. It's like nothing else is like really happening. Yeah, more radiation can come in there from outer space, but what the fuck? It's over, Antarctica. It's over.
Yeah, nobody lives there, so we don't care.
Nobody's there anyway.
Well, the other thing that did occur over the poles, both north and south, was an awful lot of post-World War II high atmospheric testing of nuclear weapons and the effects of them on the upper atmosphere. So, which is a whole other subject, but just to point that out in context with climate change and geoengineering and yada yada yada,
it's all accidental. If something is going on, it's all accidental because there's nobody on the face of this fucking planet that has enough high atmosphere fucking knowledge to say, this is what we're gonna do. They might, shoot some shit into the fucking sky and see what it does, which is like the HARP thing. HARP is like, I read through that shit. They were like 99% transparent from like the start, and they were all like ionosphere, people. They were trying to increase radio communications for military application, yes, but they were doing it because they didn't want to bounce signals off of satellites. They want to do it all off of the fucking atmosphere. Because they can't talk from one side of the planet to the other because they got too much atmosphere up there. So they're trying to figure out, can we bounce that shit somehow? Can we bounce it with one tower, two towers? I mean, what do we need to talk? And that's pre-internet. I mean, it's not pre-internet, but it's from the time, it's an analog technology that they were thinking about prior to the internet. And who knows? I mean, they're shooting, like way low, electromagnetic waves into the atmosphere, and they're basically trying to recreate what happens during an aurora borealis. When you've got like huge, low frequency, electromagnetic stuff happening to create, the ionic, resonance in the ionosphere. They're just trying to like see, hey, can we play with that? Can we do something with that? And then you have all the tinfoil hats coming in, being like, oh, it's all about mind control. Well, if somebody fucking knew that it was about mind control, fuck, they wouldn't say shit about it because their minds are controlled. I mean, fuck, if the shit worked, if the shit worked, they wouldn't say anything about it, right?
Well, maybe it is working. Look at all the social justice warriors we have.
Could be.
Well, I mean, just a side tangent on that. And
go back to making me like VR more and more. Right. You never know. It's the subtle hum of,
Just to go on a side tangent on that, going back to Dr. Hamamoto at UC Davis, he was talking about the social justice warrior phenomena. He was pointing out, and I looked this lady up too, the lady who was the president or dean of the college, who oversees some of these, social justice warrior type classes, women's studies classes, and other various things, and actually a patented engineer with 19 or 20 some odd patents in electronics engineering and antenna. And what he was saying was that, you would see these antenna pop up around campus or around town there, no one to talk about, and they disappear. But anyway, just a little side, tangent on that. If we're talking about also
Well,
social justice
so
warrior phenomena,
here's the deal. So here's the deal. Do you know anything about electronics and about radio? About
uh, not
wave?
as far as the actual hardcore, engineering of it and effects of it. Not no.
Well, okay. So
I had an
here's the
electronics class in high school. That's about it.
so here's the deal, and I'll post a graphic to this. The same graphic that I used to teach my youngest daughter about electromagnetic frequencies a few years ago. So it's an excellent fucking graphic. But for every electromagnetic wave, meaning radio, microwave, gamma ray, X-ray, that you want to receive or to transmit, you need a receiver or a transmitter as large as that wave is. Gamma waves are like kilometers fucking long. Okay? So you need a receiver or a transmitter kilometers fucking long to get those. The only way that we're getting the gamma waves right now are in sections. We're not receiving entire waves because we don't have any antennas that are big enough to like receive the entire wave at this point. Microwaves, very small. You can do it with, very small centimeter long antennas. And light that we see through our eyes and our occipital lobes and our brains that we perceive is only one small fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. And of course, we have plenty of devices that capture those. We've got our cameras and phones and all those things. The EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies that HAARP is doing, and they have that thing spread out over kilometers in Alaska, are doing like that size of waves. That's what they need to project into the atmosphere because that's the size of the wave that comes from the sun when it interacts with the ionosphere and creates the particle storms that create the aurora borealis. And so it's just a matter of scale. And the thing about science is that nobody knows what the fuck is happening until they collect data on it.
Right.
It's like HAARP only started in like 90. So it's like some guy had the fucking wise idea, smart idea to say, hey, let's set up some bullshit out in the fucking wilderness somewhere and project some shit in the fucking sky and see if we can create the same shit that the fucking sun has been doing. What's going to happen if we do that?
Well, what's going to happen? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what's going to happen? But it's not like a fucking like, well, shit, we've got a fucking, a Pluton bomb. Do we press the button or don't we? It's just that the effect that they're going for is what's been happening for, aeons on Earth already. They're just doing it from a different direction. It's the same atmosphere. There's no difference between hitting it from the bottom or hitting it from the top, other than maybe atmospheric disturbance of the radio wave because, of course, particles and, molecules and all those things, affect radio signal. And if you've got another solar flare coming in and all that stuff, I mean, there's that interaction, but you really don't know, and it's not like a catastrophic scientific experiment. It's not like the fucking first, nuclear bomb they've set off in like Nevada.
Right.
I mean, it's not like, well, fuck, are we gonna like blow up the entire planet if we press the red button?
And they were curious about that with many of those experiments.
Which they were actually worried about that shit.
Yeah.
They're like, what's gonna happen if we actually do this? Is it gonna cause a chain reaction on the whole fucking planet?
Right.
And somebody gave somebody who gave somebody else the fucking order. Press the fucking red button. Do it. And it turned out to be like it was contained within a, area, and they were just like, I guess we're good to go. Somebody start making little boy, you know, and but that's a lot of how the technology goes. It's just experiment. You work from the small to the fucking large. And yeah, I'm not saying that, yeah, by this accidental stuff happening right now and, HARP, maybe there's some really cool information that come out of HARP where they're like, but in that town 45 miles south of HARP, we had an instance of all this weird people starting to get into like furry costumes. They all thought they were wolves. The whole town turned into wolves, and they got on the internet and started telling everybody that they're gender neutral wolves.
There you
go. Who knows? Maybe it's like the Inuit. For some reason they all became cats. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't see any evidence out there right now of any kind of like master plan. I think people are just fucking around with shit like scientists do. But that's not to say it couldn't be used for bad causes or good causes gone bad.
Well, what are we talking about? The the chemtrails or the HARP or both? I mean, airplane travel, globally, I mean, is obviously on another level a great delivery system, right? Not only for humans, but what they carry, right? So diseases and illnesses and viruses and,
Sure.
on and on and on. So, on piggybacking on that, it's, again, another good delivery system for other things,
Yeah, the easier vector is just to infect humans and put them on a fucking airplane.
Well, this is true.
Send them something. You got SARS, you got Zika. The mosquito is a good vector.
Yeah.
Fucking the mosquito carries malaria, fucking Zika, fucking, all dengue fever, all this yellow fever, all this fucking shit. You got a nice little compact little thing that can fly in the wind fucking hundreds and thousands of miles, That's the better, vector to distribute a fucking virus, which we have to worry about. We have to worry about that Zika thing. Because that's a dangerous motherfucker right there. If you wipe out an entire generation with Zika people.
Zika people.
Well, I'm serious. I mean, that's what are they going to do? Nobody knows how they're going to be when they grow up. These fucking microcephalic, fucking humans. We don't know what their mental capabilities are. Are they going to be like the new Downs kids? Are they going to be somewhat helpful in society? Are they going to be? I mean, we don't fucking know. How
are
that,
they the next stage of evolution? Do we send them to an island somewhere? So no, we don't know.
No, I think they'll just put them down in the mines and let them give them pickaxes down in the mines.
So you're basically saying they're like dwarves or something.
I think that basically they're like dwarves. That's how I'm seeing it right now. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. We still have to watch. But what I do know is that it's better to not have humans like that than to have humans like that.
Sure.
So that's a dangerous one. So anyway, you want to get back to this geoengineering because we still have to go through the carbon dioxide removal because that's a little bit more interesting. Stratospheric aerosols. Yeah.
Well, the one thing I've read some of that stuff before, looking up specifically the subject the way you're looking at it from the more of the theoretical point of view on things that they've come up with as ideas as compensatory to global warming. The one thing that I found interesting about the aerosol spraying was that at least the report that I read that they were hypothesizing on using sulfur dioxide aerosol. Right. High in the atmosphere, which of course, what other source do we get sulfur dioxide from in the atmosphere?
I don't know. You tell me.
Coal plants. Ooh, right? Which, so in order to, negate or minimize global warming, put sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere, right? So if that's the case, then why shut down the coal plants? Of Of course, both of those would produce potentially, acid rain as a byproduct. But point being, it's kind of like it's the same. Like in one instance, it's a problem, and the other one, it's a solution. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's always that give and take. It seems with any kind of bioengineering endeavor. I mean, you always have a give and take. It's kind of like I read an argument, or at least I heard something, read something about how all the genetic manipulation companies right now are really going for strains of plants and trees that can resist all of these things that are killing the natural wildlife plants out there.
Like aluminum, heavy metals.
Right, aluminum, barium, all those things that are not good for plants. So they're making them, barium, aluminum resistant.
Which, of course, all the things that the chemtrail people are saying that they're finding.
Right, but you have to ask yourself. It's like, okay, there's a problem. We've been putting pollution into the atmosphere hardcore putting pollution in the atmosphere for the past 100 years since World War I. Since we discovered that we can run the machines on fucking oil and pump all kinds of pollution, all kinds of lead, all kinds of different heavy metals in the atmosphere. So what do we got to do? This shit's killing our fucking wildlife. It's killing our fucking trees. All that. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna genetically engineer some new plants that can survive this shit because obviously this pollution is not going away. So it's like what is the evil? Yeah, it could be nice if we could live in teepees and fucking hunt buffalo. But hey, the fucking teepees aren't there, the buffalo aren't there, so we can't do that. There's too many people, and we have to adjust to what the fucking modern world is, what we wrought accidentally upon ourselves. It's a different mode of survival. I don't know. That's kind of how I see it. And yeah, it sucks that they're not just making unpatented gene plants, and they're going to charge everybody for motherfucking things. But that's money. That's capitalism, But is there a conspiracy to kill every single natural living form so that there's nothing that's living that isn't patented? Maybe somebody has that fucking wet dream somewhere, but I doubt it. I doubt if it's as huge and as widespread as some people.
Well, looking at all the companies and the large corporations that are actually trying to patent these things and make these things. I mean, look at it. I mean, I would guess anyway, what they're looking at is like, well, in the past and up to now, we've accumulated a lot of heavy metals in the environment, the soil. So how can we A, fix this, and B, how can we financially benefit from this and see still be in a position of essentially, making lots of money and running society. So I guess in some regards, GM-oriented type industry in agriculture is kind of, a byproduct of the pollution that's been accumulating. So the corporations made it, and now they're going to, make a lot of money on the alternatives.
Make a problem, fix a problem. That's that whole thing. Or it's just like let a problem persist and have a solution for the problem.
Right.
I'm just not seeing like some. Maybe it's a conspiracy of just silence in a way. It's like, oh, our planet is degrading because we're living on it and we're doing all these terrible industrial things that pollute it and do things to it, but we have to have a solution, so it's like we really don't know how to fix it, but we know how to solve it, at least for ourselves, so maybe it's a conspiracy by complicity or silence, where it's just like, well, we're not going to look at the natural cause because hell, how hard it is to get people to fucking recycle shit. Throw out their fucking plastic bottles. Throw out their aluminum cans. from their 24-pack of Coke they just drank in the past 4 days or whatever it was. I mean, they can't recycle that bullshit. So how easy is it going to be to fucking, get people to fucking be like, oh,
Right.
don't drive your car 3 days a week. You can't do it.
Well,
You can't
this is
do
true.
it, dude.
So what you really have.
So you have to come at it from the other end, and that's going to cost you. That's going to cost you some bucks, It's like, so you're pumping all this fucking shit because of your lifestyle into the fucking atmosphere, and fucking, so I'm going to give you a fucking GMO fucking tree.
Right.
Fuck you.
Well,
and that thing's going to live and live and live, but it's not going to be able to, I don't know about the whole thing about they can't reproduce. I can't imagine they produce something that will not reproduce on its own.
They can't grow any fruit.
But I guess the corn farmers have something to say about that.
Well, yeah, and actually, I've heard that's actually an issue with some of the natives up here in this part of the state. Like the Hopi, who have and even in Mexico and Mesoamerica, where they have strains of corn that go back millennia, right? That they were developing on their own through experimentations over thousands of years, and now Monsanto, gets their pollen flying in the air and it gets into their varieties of corn. Well, aside from screwing up their corn, then there's a legal issue there, So
it's all. I don't think that it's fair, legally speaking, to be able to copyright genes.
But they're doing it.
I'm pretty much against that. I'm not against scientific discovery of coming up with new stuff.
Right.
Because you have to look back to the original art, right? I mean, but I guess you could take that argument in the same way like music, right? Well, who played the first? Who played the first fucking note? Who played who? They're gonna get out of that one too. They're gonna win that motherfucker. By the way,
the stairway to heaven.
Yeah, they're gonna win that thing. The opposing lawyers said you guys can settle this deal for fucking $1.
Oh,
$1. $1 fucking dollar, which means basically they don't have a case.
Oh yeah.
So fuck them. Led Zeppelin's gonna be like, we're gonna sit on this for a couple months and we're gonna tell them fuck you. That's my prediction. Anyway, Stairway to Heaven all the way. To be a rock and not a roll. Anyway, and getting back on the musical thing, since our last show, the little Ride the Lightning discussion, I've had Metallica on infinite loop since then.
Really?
Ride the Lightning, Sanitarium, Master of Puppets, and then the lamely named album Metallica, which is actually really good. Yeah. All 4 of those, some singles, some goddamn, live presentations. Hell yeah. Metallica. Anyway, getting back to what we're talking about. So, I mean, I don't think that patenting fucking genes should be allowed. I don't think it's proprietary secrets because it's all in nature anyway. They're tweaking things. They're changing things. It's like if I get my hands on a huge ass fucking program. Say I get my hands on fucking 1,000 lines of code. All right, 1,000 lines of computer programming. That's open source, and make that equate to fucking nature. Make that equate to fucking genes, right? In some organism, in some slime mold, in some amoeba, right? It's a program that does something. And I make one little change in the code. I change an if statement. I change something that makes it do something else under some circumstance. It's like, why should I be able to, copyright that bullshit or patent it? I mean, it's like the full code is already there, and there's just one little change. Now, if I completely rewrote the fucking piece of code, and I was like, well, this isn't that, and this isn't that, and and I changed all 1,000 lines into, 50 lines, or whatever, and there were some great algorithms that I put in there, and, did some AI fucking work and hooked it up to fucking databases, then I can patent that shit because it's fucking from my ingenium. I did that shit to make it fucking better. But just changing little things like they do in the fucking, GMO scene, it's like, oh, you just flipped a fucking bit. You just fucking, made this protein non-responsive to this, condition. It's like nothing. It's a big deal in the science, science of it, that they can go in at that level and change the DNA and make the behavior change. But it's not a fucking big deal insofar as like nature is concerned. Nature's been doing that forever. You look at fucking evolution. Fuck. A neutron fucking neutrino fucking hits a fucking piece of DNA and it splices that motherfucker. And that DNA is not the same. And it's just a random change. That's the whole Darwinian thing happening. And the behavior changes. Maybe it's brown eyes versus blue eyes. And blue eyes react differently in certain types of light, so those are better in caves. Whereas brown eyes are better in the sunlight. But that, thing changed the salamander in the cave to have blue eyes. Now they can see better underground, or whatever the case might be. It's completely unrealistic, but that's the type of change that we're talking about. So it's like this corn that we're talking about, with the corn farmers, either the corn farmers get the GMO pollen, transferred to them, and they're planting fucking GMO corn, and they don't necessarily know it, or, it's like the Hopi are just doing their own thing, and then Monsanto is out there with their filters in the air going, oh, we need the Hopi corn. We're going to get it because they've been growing it for 4,000 years, and then we're going to see what they've been doing. And that's different from the Midwestern corn. It's a hardy species, and it's colored, and fuck, and then they're going to patent that shit like, oh, yeah, this is what we just did in the fucking lab. Here's our report. Here's the white paper on that shit. And the Hopi are sitting there going, white man.
Yeah.
White. I mean, give me a fucking break.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't say I've actually looked up, the details on that little battle, but I have heard about that, and I did read a book that covered the development of corn and maize rather in Mesoamerica, and it's pretty fascinating that quote unquote Stone Age people could have the the ability to basically cross-pollinate and hybridize different strains and varieties of corn and actually manipulate it the way they wanted it.
We've been doing that forever, breeding different plants, breeding different animals.
Let's breed these two animals together and see what happens.
Breeding different peoples together.
Yeah, well, that too, right?
Neanderthals versus Homo sapiens.
Right.
I mean, come on. We gotta love it. Anyway, getting back to the carbon dioxide removal, these are interesting. Afforestation. That means planting more trees. That means that we need Johnny Appleseed again to go on his path across the world again, throwing apple seeds everywhere, create more trees, create more fruit to sequester the carbon dioxide that we are unleashing into the atmosphere through our pollutative selves. And then you have biochar, which is basically like burning down everything that can possibly hold carbon dioxide and burying it in the ground.
Yeah.
That one's not good. And then you have the bioenergy, carbon dioxide capture and sequestration.
Yeah.
Which basically means like you create the stuff to burn and then you sequester it. So like you're gonna have, I don't know, continental-sized forests that you grow every year. This is like Christmas tree technology, right? You grow a new crop that comes up every 5 years, right? And then you cut them down and you use it for energy, and then you sequester all that shit into the fucking ground. And you just keep on burying that shit. That's like what happened. That's like the oil reserve that we're working off of like right now. That's the fossil fuel that we're working off right now. So that happened over millions of fucking years, and with natural biological technology happening. But they're saying, let's manage that shit. Which means like planting a whole bunch of fucking wildlife out there, plants and whatnot, and harvesting it every cycle that we go. It's kind of Mayan in a way. And then burying that shit in the fucking ground so that it doesn't get into the atmosphere. And then you have the ambient air capture routine, which is basically like your NASA space station carbon dioxide filters, which are basically made of porous material. And we know how well that worked on the Apollo, what was it, the 17? Apollo 17, whatever that one, the failed moon landing, Apollo 13.
Oh, uh-huh.
Excellent movie, by the way. Tom Hanks, Oliver Stone,
yeah.
Great guys. Anyway, really one to watch. But so that's like NASA technology where you just like stick a filter into the air and it captures carbon dioxide. You know, yeah, you can do it, but they'll be like skyscraper sized. You know, I mean, they'll be Sears Tower sized. You know, filters in the air. It can be done. Does anybody want to do it? Probably not. Probably too much money for research and construction for the not enough effect on the world. Nobody cares. They can
Well,
walk.
who's gonna make? How are you gonna make money off of it? You know, so I mean,
exactly. You know, it would have to be done by the federal government via tax. Bernie Sanders could do it.
Yeah, Bernie. Well, the tree thing could work. You know, the tree thing could work. You know, although I think it's kind of already going on a bit here in the West, in particular. Of course, the national forest. Yeah. You know, but they've kind of gotten rid of the logging industry. You know.
Trees and bacteria, man. I mean, that's like the way to go. Because if you can have like reproducing trees, you can afforestate. That's a new word to me. You could afforestate a complete region of land. You know, I mean, it's like, fuck, it's life. It grows. You just throw a seed out there, let the birds do their thing. You know, just let it all go, and you can do it. Anyway, the country working for the city, I guess, is the conflict there. I don't think that Black Lives Matter would care too much about that.
Well, you know, maybe they could be offered some jobs. You know, planting, cutting,
well,
sequestering.
Give them some jobs, but they're going to be like, we don't want to do that shit. Bring in the illegals. Let them plant. Let Johnny Gonzalez. Let Jose Gonzalez plant the tree.
In the West, you know, basically what you're talking about used to exist, which is tree farming, which is what they turned all the national forests into, basically. And the environmentalists have shut it down.
Where do you think all the apples in the supermarket come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's all old orchard shit.
Mexico. Yeah.
And there's a really nice corridor, by the way, in California. And if you ever come out this way,
in Orange
you need
County?
to drive, or not Orange County, no. Northern, you know, like mid-state, you know, same latitude as you, dude. Freaking, you go through like nut country. No. That's what I call it. I call it nut country. Nice route on Highway 46. Lots of like nut farms on that road. Just like beautiful, like in there. They got some wine, you know, vineries, vineyards coming in now. But it's just like a beautiful drive, man. Every time of year, they've got like 3 harvesting seasons, and it's all just like completely like beautiful, man. Highway 46. Good to go. So if you ever come out this way, be sure to drive on Highway 46, spring or fall. It's nice in the summer, but they've got all these like blossoming trees and nut trees.
Oh, okay.
My God, they've got flowers of all different kinds of colors, man. I mean, it's like, before I was in California, I never saw trees like that before. I mean, they've got pinks, dark reds, blues, like yellows. I mean, and they all blossom and bloom at different times of the year. But they're making our pecans, they're making our cashews, they're making our almonds, they're making our, they're making our fucking goddamn Brazil nuts. I mean, all that stuff. So it's all good to go. Yeah, Highway 46. Anyway, then you have ambient air capture. Well, that's pretty much the same as the bioenergy capture and sequestration. Then you have the oceanic maneuvers. You have ocean fertilization. And we're going to cut down here because I know we're like a few minutes over at this point. But ocean fertilization is basically like exploiting ocean life at certain points in time that you want them to proliferate. Mm-hmm. So that means that if there is an ocean, this is like the red tide thing I think I was saying about earlier. If there's an ocean bacteria or an algae that eats carbon dioxide, and the climate is good for such things, or you put nutrients into the ocean at a specific place, contained, how they say it, a contained area, to grow that particular species that will eat that carbon dioxide, and then after they're done eating it by your lights, you kill them off, and you put them into the ocean floor.
We don't know what's going to happen down there, but we're going to do it.
Sounds pretty violent. It might turn into methane. You never know.
Which is another gas. That's a big problem. Which you guys had a huge ruptured gas line there in Southern California or somewhere that was spewing out methane for a while.
Right. These are our British fellows thinking about this shit. Yeah. I don't detect any feminism in this plan. these are the good old English boys. These are like the scientists who play rugby.
Right.
Or cricket, or whatever the fuck.
So there's some big gaping holes missing.
Huge gaping holes missing. Obviously, there's no feminists, so there's no gaping holes.
Right.
I'll put it that way. And then you have enhanced weathering. Weathering.
What is that?
That's the same thing as like the stratospheric aerosols. That's pumping particulate matter into the atmosphere to block solar radiation. Why are these people against the sun? That's what I'm saying. The sun is good. The sun is life. The sun is everything. I mean, fuck. Our light bulb is just a little brother of the sun in the sky.
Well,
anyway.
it all comes down to creating problems in order to create solutions so you can sell the solution.
That's it.
I mean, that's basically it. This is
that's it.
In some regard, it's human nature.
Maybe you and I need to create a problem.
I think
create a big fucking problem and then to capitalize off of it.
This is very important.
We'll have to think on that one. Definitely.
Okay.
Then you have
not do a show on that.
Then you have ocean alkalinity enhancement. Because you don't want an acid ocean, do you? Oh, no. So you need to increase the alkalinity of the ocean. So this is done simply by crushing up limestone, silicates, and other matter that make water more alkaline. That one's pretty easy. We could crush the cliffs of Dover. Do that one.
Hey, we've got a lot of limestone here in Arizona.
Just like that. Yeah, but Arizona's so far from an ocean until we build a canal, right?
Well, we got the Colorado River.
Well, there is that, but I'm not sure if California would like that.
No.
It's like
the canal.
Your water's too alkaline. You're Colorado River, motherfuckers. I don't know. I don't know. All right, that's it. That's the list. What you got? What more do you got?
That's it. I'm empty.
You're empty.
Yeah.
I'm not. I got a full rack tonight. Yeah, and
you got a backup.
that's Heineken. That's Heineken. That's my beer. Sorry, I like the Dutch, dude. That's my go-to drink. Heineken. Pardon me. I'm multicultural in that way. But I will let you do the send-off to the crew, if there is a crew.
If there is one, yes. Well, I guess that's going to cover it for our chemtrails and you and Geo-Engineering for Target Lock Earth 10. I think it's 10, isn't it, that we're on here? So we'll have to get back to the the upcoming Flashpoint Apocolypse next time. So until then, keep making more CO2 and methane.
Just keep breathing.
That's
keep
right.
breathing. Happening all the time. Night, bro.
Farewell.